goodness, I was sifting through my timeline yesterday evening and ran across this signing by the Indiana Fever. And I was like, my goodness, what are we doing exactly?
Stephanie White just made a shocking move. She signed a player who has been criticizing Caitlin Clark all year. And now Indiana Fever fans are in an uproar. How did this happen? And why would White make such a controversial decision? You might think this is a joke, but it's not. Brianna Turner is now part of the Fever, and instead of smoothing things over, she's already firing back at fans. Unbelievable.
When all of a sudden coming across my feed was one Brianna Turner from the Indiana Fever firing shots towards the fan base.
Let's break down this shocking situation and see just how intense things might get. You might be thinking Stephanie White just pulled off the biggest free agent move of the season, but hold on. This story is about to take a dramatic turn that will leave you questioning everything.
The Indiana Fever just signed, if you drew up a political activist and created one in a lab to have your team sign that could bring in and torch your locker room. I mean, literally come in, light it on fire, and burn the entire locker room down.
Fans were thrilled after drafting Caitlin Clark, dreaming of championships and celebrations. Everything looked promising, and excitement was through the roof. But then, out of nowhere, Stephanie White makes a shocking move, signing Brianna Turner suddenly. The mood shifts from celebration to confusion. Why would adding a solid defender spark such an uproar? Well, this is where things get interesting.
It's utterly remarkable how so many of these WNBA players have chosen to take certain stances in certain situations only to come back and change their entire viewpoint based on where they're going to play basketball.
Turner isn't just any player. She's been one of Caitlin Clark's biggest critics on social media all year. Can you believe it? It's like White just brought in Clark's biggest rival. Imagine if your favorite team signed someone who had been calling out their star player for months. That's the level of drama we're dealing with here.
And the Indiana Fever have now signed another member of the mob. Really don't know why they signed her, but they did. As they signed Brianna Turner to complete their roster.
The Indiana Fever have made another unexpected move, signing Brianna Turner to complete their roster. Fans are scratching their heads, wondering why the team would make this decision. As soon as the signing was announced, reactions started pouring in, and let's just say, Fever fans aren't exactly thrilled.
Indiana fans are not happy. Obviously, Caitlin Clark had to say yes to this decision, but they're not happy because Brianna Turner has said a whole lot about a whole lot.
What they found had them seeing red. This wasn't just one or two tweets. Turner had been taking shots at Clark, the Fever, and even the fans for an entire year. It's almost like she made it her mission to stir the pot and get under everyone's skin.
Your fan base, one that you want to be a part of now. I mean, with this type of bullshit, you might actually have learned that you probably shouldn't be coming to the Indiana Fever for all the bullshit that you have implied and pushed in that direction. I gotta find this crap though, because I mean, there's so much shit in this. By the way, Brianna Turner barely played last year. Why they would sign her, I have absolutely no idea. She barely played. I gotta find this crap. This goes back to when the hell the Caitlin Clark thing popped. Oh my goodness. I will not accept racism as part of the game. I'm not sensitive, and no, I will not simply ignore the ignorant takes I've seen. But you're the one, you've made plenty of ignorant takes. You've attacked an entire fan base. She wasn't, okay, this goes back. I wasn't present for the interaction from earlier, but what occurred isn't acceptable. And if you weren't there, you shouldn't speak on it. Like, that's what makes you a clown. You lose credibility. You weren't there, so you should shut the up. Because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. If you weren't there, you can't speak on something when you weren't there.
What they found had them fuming. This wasn't just a couple of comments. Turner had been taking shots at Clark, the Fever, and even the fans for an entire year. It's as if stirring the pot was her mission. And now, She's stepping right into the heart of the team she's been calling out.
She's already blown up the Indiana Fever locker room. And yeah, I mean, this is firing shots right at the fan base. Caitlin Clark fans, Indiana Fever fans, Iowa Hawkeye fans.
You might be thinking, okay, maybe Turner is just really competitive. But this goes way beyond normal rivalry. Fever fans are absolutely livid. One fan even said it feels like the front office didn't bother to do a simple Google search before making this decision. Can you imagine being that out of touch with your own fan base?
Because I don't see how she makes this team. I don't see how Indiana fans can be even happy to see this. It's mind-blowing to say all of these things, and there's a laundry list of them.
People are starting to worry about what this means for team chemistry. How is Clark supposed to trust someone who's been one of her biggest critics? It's like trying to bake a cake with ingredients that don't mix. You're just asking for disaster.
Brianna Turner, another one who has crossed over the picket line and decided that whatever she thought really wasn't real, because she had no problem signing with the Indiana Fever. Because the reality is, these women don't believe the things that they say. It makes it very hard to take anything that they say for what they say.
This feels like one of those wild signings in sports history, when teams bring in players who have beef with the stars, and it all blows up in their faces. But this one might take the cake. One fan even compared it to hiring your ex's worst enemy as your wedding planner. That's how absurd this whole situation is.
Type of bullshit. You might actually have learned that you probably shouldn't be coming to the Indiana Fever for all the bullshit that you have implied and pushed in that direction.
This feels like one of those wild signings in sports history. You know, when teams bring in players who have beef with the stars and it completely backfires. But this one might be the worst Yatone fan. Even said it's like hiring your ex's worst enemy as your wedding planner. That's how ridiculous this whole situation is.
Turner, 2/17/25. That was today. She's on Twitter today. I'm not even having to go back to look at these other things. Friendly reminder that I'm against all forms of discrimination, including racism, sexism, homophobia, misogyny, and transphobia. I often advocate against these discriminatory practices. Feel free to unfollow, mute, or block me if that is bothersome to you. Always protect your peace. In the near change online advocacy. Efforts to appease others while I anticipate receiving criticism, hostility, and invalidation. I will not tolerate discrimination. If I am not for you, there are about 150 other W players that you can support instead. I have interest and a life outside of my playing career. I do not expect or crave validation from social media. I have low expectations for Twitter, and I'm cognizant that many will reject my takes. I literally have an MA in social justice and human rights. That's literally known as a useless degree. I haven't been as active on here lately, but wanted to share what my page has consisted of for years. W Twitter discourse is far from normal nowadays, so I will keep distancing myself from that space in order to protect my own peace. Y'all enjoy, though, and best of luck. Wow. You sound ridiculous. No one's ever said that racism, sexism, all that shit is okay. You guys make it a thing. It's all you think about. And this all goes back to Indiana basketball. The team you just signed with. You look like a clown. I hope you don't make this team. I hate being negative like that about this. I hope you don't make this team. I hope they cut your ass in camp and we never have to see your ass. Because this type of bullshit, this is worse than anything anyone I've seen has said who signs with Colson and Bonner. This is by far, like, well over the top. Brianna Turner, you're part of the discourse that was tearing down the entire city. Your rhetoric has been part of a discourse tearing down an entire city, an entire group of fans, a player who has been ridiculed by the fans that you speak of that are on your side. You have pushed a rhetoric that has been tearing down an entire fan base, one that you want to be a part of now.
Don't know how I feel about it personally, and I'm always the type of person, I don't give a damn what a person says as long as they perform on the court and they don't affect the locker room itself. Like, I think genuinely the locker room, if the locker room is good, it doesn't really matter what somebody does outside as long as they keep it inside the locker room. Just like why I had no real issue with some of the Dejanay stuff and Alyssa Smith. I was like, it doesn't seem to be affecting the locker room.
There's no logical explanation other than Caitlin Clark said she wanted her. Don't know why she would, but that's the only explanation I can get. Because this shit from Brianna Turner, this is clown level shit. Like, this is unbelievable clown level shit. I hope she never sees the floor in Indiana. I think she would literally get booed if she went onto the court. Yes, that's what Brianna Turner wanted to do. She wanted to win so bad and be part of a winning team and franchise that she came over for dirt cheap money on top of that, because they're not paying her anything worth a damn, to sit on the end of the bench so she could be in the same building with the people that she literally called a bunch of racists, misogynists, sexists, all the folks that were spitting slurs her way. That's who she chose to sign with.